So I almost got shot by a cop when I was naked holding a blanket. Let me tell you what happened and what it taught me about spiritual warfare. Because if you're struggling with porn and drift from God and fear and all of that, this story will tell you exactly why. I remember it was back in 2016 and I had gotten sober. I still hadn't learned my lessons. They always say that one addiction replaces another addiction. Well, that is true. I had gone to recovery. I had quit the alcohol for over a couple of years, but I still had the same addictive behaviors. I started using dating apps, and I will tell you, I have never had a crazier time sober. There was one woman I dated that was so crazy that I believe she was totally possessed. That, this was the old version of me, guys. This was not me now, obviously. And I sought out that kind of craziness. I'll never forget just wanting her to go. I thought the trouble had passed. It had been a couple months. I remember I was relaxing in my room one night. I went to sleep, and I had to go to the bathroom. I got up, and I had to use a bathroom that was far down the hall. The one next to my bedroom was broken, so I had to walk down there and use the restroom there. And while I was there on the toilet, I heard a very loud crash. It was like glass breaking. Clearly somebody had broken in. So I had my phone. I had used it as a flashlight to walk down the hallway. So I pick up the phone, I call the police. Literally within a minute, I hear some commotion outside the door, so I decide to check it out. I'm only holding a blanket. Now, don't hold this against me. I was hot. It was like October, and it can be hot in October in LA. And I had just a blanket. So I walk out, and I'm holding this blanket, and as I turn the corner, there's a cop pointing a 9mm at me with the light on the front, and he says, "Put your hands up." So I put my hands up, and I had to drop the blanket, so I'm just standing there naked. And he pauses for a second. He goes, "Man, I almost shot you." The woman was outside. It was the same woman. She had broken in, and she'd told the police there was nobody inside the house. So when I spoke to him afterward, he said, "If I weren't a seasoned officer, I would have shot you." So I was still chasing crazy without Christ. And those 7 deadly demons do return seeking a host. That is the truth. So if you're somebody out there that's saying you're Christian and that you're a good person, but you still do crazy things, you still choose to date somebody that's crazy or do things that are not Christian-like, what does that make you? I mean, I looked at it and I said, I'm just as crazy as she is. Why did I ever get involved with someone like that? And I started to recognize that I had no self-esteem and I was trying to seek validation from broken people. But at the time, I didn't know that. But it did stop me from dating and using those apps. I went cold turkey for 3 to 4 months, and I was doing my work. At the time, I was a personal trainer. I ended up meeting a woman who was Christian, and we fell in love. Now, she said to me, "We're going to have to base our relationship around Christ to have it stable and secure for life." And you start to think differently. I had to figure it out. Okay, I had to think, what is this Christ thing? And here's what I learned. There's 2 types of people in this world. There's people in this world that accept that the warfare is real. They put on their combat gear, which is the gospel, every day, and they fight the good fight. And then you have people that cave into the world and its vices and its lies, and they believe that they are going to be great. They just need to have money. They need to be popular, even famous. And then they'll finally be happy. Well, there's no happiness outside of the gospel. There's no happiness outside of the good news. You can listen to coaches all day long tell you about the greatest hack ever to change your life and to make you a millionaire. And it may work, but it won't make you happy. You know that person that just never quite has enough? I know them. I used to know famous people who were the most unhappy people I've ever met. Money, fame, power, everything the world defines as wonderful. Everything that says, hey, you made it. And yet they're horribly miserable. That's because the media is in the hands of the evil one. They want to show you images that persuade you against the gospel. They want to hide messages inside of shows and music that cause you to drift. And here's what nobody talks about. When you get saved, you'll see more evil, not less. In fact, once I became justified, once I knew that I was in Christ and I believed in Christ, I saw more evil in the world than I ever have. I was tempted more than I ever have been. Why? Because the enemy hates losing. When you're just out there in the world doing whatever it is you do and you don't care, neither does the enemy. He's already got you. It's like you're on his GPS route. But once you start to pull away and you turn to the kingdom and you start to recognize the spiritual warfare for what it is, the resistance does show up. It reveals itself because through the struggles that you endure and the atrocities that you see in the world, your faith grows stronger because it survives through that. It perseveres. That's what this is all about. If Satan didn't exist, then we would have no troubles. So why doesn't God remove Satan? I have an answer for that. The reason why God doesn't remove Satan is because if he did, all of us would just simply be on the narrow road. There would be no proof of God's greatness whatsoever. Free will wouldn't matter, neither would love. God has ordained that Satan have a long leash, with God holding on to it, because he knows that when we walk in and out of those temptations, struggling both with the physical and the moral effects that they bring, more of God's glory will shine in that battle than if he just took Satan out yesterday. So if you're struggling with porn, if you're struggling with the fear, you're struggling with the drift from God, there's a reason. You have choices. You can choose to rise up and fight and persevere. And as you persevere, you're going to build character. And as you build character, your faith will deepen and you will be provided with hope. And that shame in your life will dissipate and you will be whole. Does this mean that you're just simply going to stop sinning forever? Well, of course not. You're made of flesh. You are chained to this body of death for the rest of your life. We are born sinners, but that doesn't mean God doesn't love us. He loved us so much that he puts up with us. That's how much he loves us. He gives us the option. Which option are you going to choose? Are you going to put on your combat gear and fight the good fight, or are you going to let the world win? Now, if you want to learn more about how to be in the good fight, I have a 14-day warfare challenge that will help you rise up. It's one text a day. It's one mission a day. It's a battle plan to break the cycle. I've got 1,000 men going through it now. Do not chase crazy without Christ. Check out the challenge and the link below, and I will see you on the inside.